Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chess Masters. Today we're going to be looking at the weakness of the f-pawn. And that might sound confusing at first, but you'll realize how the f-pawn can sometimes be weak, and it can make you lose the game if you're not careful. So we're going to have 4 positions today, so let's go on to our first position, which CobaltActor will explain.
Okay, this first position is called the 2-move checkmate. And I know that kind of sounds ridiculous because checkmate in 2 moves, that sounds impossible. And most of the times it is impossible, but if your opponent doesn't know about the dangers of the f-pawn, they might make this mistake. So, the first move starts with f4, and white plays f4, but this is actually already a pretty bad mistake. Now, let's say black is just playing some normal moves. Let's say black moves the king's pawn forward, plays e6. Now, white actually makes another super bad move. White plays g4, which is literally the worst move that you can play in this position. Because can you see the checkmate that there is for black? The checkmate is queen to h4. And I know this looks ridiculous because it's like, wait, the pieces can just block. But if you look closely, you realize that the pieces actually can't block. And so this is just the 2-move checkmate. There's plenty of, this is not the only reason why you shouldn't move your f-pawn. Let's move on to the next example.
All right, so in this position, white starts out with the completely normal move, e4. So white starts with e4, and black responds with e5. Now white moves bishop to c4, and black does, for example, bishop to c5, copying. And now white does queen to f3. Can you see this mate threat? Well, let's say black doesn't and plays a move like c6. Now, in this position, white can just swoop his queen down to f7, taking that pawn, and that's mate on the spot. This is one of the many examples on why the f-pawn is extremely weak in these kind of positions. Let's move on to the next example.
So in our next position, it starts out with a pretty normal move, e4. And then it responds with another normal move, e5. And then it's the strange move, f4. But after e takes f4, you realize that this move isn't actually that bad, because this is known as the King's Gambit accepted. And this is a very aggressive opening, and it's also sometimes used like what grandmasters use. So that's pretty cool. So after that is knight f3, and then knight c6. So after that, it looks like a pretty equal position, but actually this can sometimes be better for white, because the king, after d4, you can see that there's 2 center pawns, and then there's nothing here, and the center pawns can be pushed. So after d4, any move can be played, and there are many ways that this can play out, but this is usually said better for white because there are 2 strong pawns in the center, and they can both push forward and march forward to maybe go after this knight, maybe start developing a little bit more, and that's pretty good for white. So in this position, the f4 pawn can also be taken whenever, and here you notice that doing f4 was actually a pretty good move. It's very dangerous if you don't know how to do the King's Gambit, but otherwise, moving f4 is a pretty good move if you know what you're doing. That's our last position. Now we're going to look at all the positions we've done.
So, in this video, we looked at why moving the f-pawn can be extremely dangerous. But that doesn't mean you should never do it. Sometimes, like in the King's Gambit, you can take a risk and it can pay off. In fact, that's basically what the word gambit means, taking a little risk to see if something good happens in the end. So, before you move your f-pawn, make sure you really know what you're doing and make sure you plan ahead to make sure that it doesn't end up going really downhill for you.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and smash the notification bell.
Thanks for watching.